for us to talk openly, to brainstorm with each other, to talk about some good things that are happening, some things that you guys may need some help with, or may just kind of want to hear some feedback from others. So today on our call, we have our assistant director. Her name is Dawn Jeffrey, and I will let her introduce herself, and then we will just do introductions from there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dawn Jeffrey. I've been the assistant director for about 6 months, probably. I did come from the school. I was an administrator of an early childhood program, 0 to 5. And I also am a speech therapist and a developmentalist. So I know everyone on this call is here for the same reason I am, is to just do what's best for kids. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't believe that. We are here to help you. We are definitely here to help you. We all have a job to do, and we want to make sure kids are safe, but ultimately it's because we care about kids. So I am open. You all can get my email. If you need a question, it's something I can answer and help you with, I'll be glad to. If I don't know the answer, I can find somebody to reach out to. So I do just want to say, I know all of you on here are on here the same reason we are, is that we care about kids. So I will turn it over to Clayton because he's the person I see beside me.
Good morning. My name is Clayton DeBoer. I'm the licensing specialist for PRTF Southern Arkansas. Glad to work with everybody. I was with DCFS from about 06 to 09, and then with ADC from 2013 until a couple months ago. It's a big change. It's a wonderful change. I'm kind of like a time machine because I saw these facilities from 06 to 09, and I'm so pleased at the improvements that I've seen. Just good morning. Glad to be here.
Austin.
I am Austin Clowers. I am the program coordinator over our psychiatric facilities for the state. So I work directly with Chelsea and Clayton. My background is I have a degree in psychology, and I've been working here at least since August. But I've worked in a facility. One of you guys, I'm not going to say, but one of you guys out there that's listening here today, I've worked with you guys, as well as worked in hospital settings and for the government doing community block development grant programs. So I'm pretty familiar with the government regulation side of things. So I'm glad to be here. Glad to meet you guys if I haven't met you already.
And our other licensing specialist is Chelsea Vardell, and I'm not sure if she's able to get on this morning, but I'm sure a lot of you guys know her. Chelsea covers Piney Ridge, Dacus, perimeter of Forest City, perimeter of West Memphis. Did I miss something?
Perimeter of Ozark.
Perimeter of the Ozarks. So she is your licensing specialist, and I'm sure at least some of you guys have gotten to meet her and had a conversation with her. On the call, we also have our regulatory check unit. I see Miss Kayla Bodi. I will allow her to introduce herself.
Good morning. My name is Kayla Bodi. I'm the program manager of the regulatory check, or also known as the background check unit with DCCECE. I have been with the division since March, so almost a year. And my background is early childhood education. I was with a program for almost 10 years as a director. I also, before that, was a preschool classroom teacher. So I come from the early childhood childcare side of things, and I'm excited to be a part of this division and just really happy to help. And then I have Brinda Burr here on the call as well. Brinda, do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is Brinda Burr. I'm the program coordinator for the regulatory check unit. I report to Kayla. I have been with this unit since 2019, but I started with a division of child care in 2003. So I've been with the division for some years now. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you, ladies. Is Cindy here today?
Cindy is, she's not on the call this morning.
Okay. So Kayla, can you tell us, talk about Cindy? I'm sure a lot of the providers have had contact with Cindy.
Yes, so most of you have probably talked to Cynthia Smith. She is administrative support specialist on the regulatory check team. She is dedicated to the placement and residential side of regulatory checks. So most of the time, that's who you're going to be in contact with. Brinda is her direct supervisor. So she also assists with placement and residential. And I am going to be sure and put all of our contact information in the chat box so that if you need any of us, you'll have our main lines, our emails, and all of our direct lines as well. But Cynthia is your go-to person. She's been with the unit for several years. She's been doing placement and residential for several years. So she is just a wealth of knowledge, and we're really thankful to have her on our team.
All right. Thank you, Kayla. So at this time, we are going to open, we're going to veer a little from our agenda. We're going to open up questions that you guys may have for the regulatory check unit at this time, because we're going to allow them to be on the call and then they're going to excuse themselves. So are there any calls for them? I mean, any questions for the regulatory check unit? Okay, and if not, that's fine. If you think of some later, then you can certainly put those in the chat box and we'll get back to you guys with an answer. So now I want to move on to kind of talk about the goals and the purpose of this provider call. I talked a little bit and just kind of stated that our goal is to get all of our psychiatric residential providers together in a smaller setting than with the large group with the residential providers. And during this time, we want to talk about issues that you may be facing at your facilities. We want to brainstorm about things that as a whole that we may be able to provide some guidance to you on with maybe just small situations, or you may be able to get some feedback from another provider on what they may have done in a similar situation. Okay, so now let's move on to talk about COVID. You know, COVID is so heavy on everybody's minds, and I just kind of want to know, how are you guys doing? Can somebody tell me, you know, just what's going on with COVID and how you are feeling about it today at your agency? I'll just kind of tell you guys my personal experience. COVID, I have two boys and one of them had COVID. So we've had COVID in our house for probably the last 7 to 10 days, trying to get them doing schoolwork, and I've been trying to work. So that's just what I've been personally battling. So I'm sure at your agencies, it may have been, you know, larger groups, you know, trying to keep kids quarantined and things like that.
I can speak for Piney Ridge. My name is Justin Hoover. I'm the CEO here at Piney Ridge Treatment Center. For anybody on the call, so the week before last, I was feeling really good about it. A couple of people were reaching out and saying, "Hey, how are y'all doing with COVID?" And I was saying, "Hey, we're good here. No staff, no kids." And then I want to say the Saturday before last is really when it hit us. And those of you who aren't familiar with Piney, our population 7 to 17, it's co-ed, and we have 4 separate units based on age and gender. And in those units, we had like 2 kids on each unit. So in the past, we've been fortunate enough to have a building called the Annex, and we've been able to kind of open that up and roll COVID over there. Here at Piney, we call it COVID camp. We try to make it a little fun for the kids and put some activities and stuff over there. But with the change in the ages and the gender, it wasn't really something we felt comfortable doing. So we did end up having 11 positive patients, which resulted in us quarantining our entire campus. We just made the call that we felt that was going to be the best thing to do to help prevent staff going from unit to unit, or people going into the school, or really just trying to flatten that curve by having people on their own units with their own staff. And this past Saturday, we retested some folks, and fortunate today, knock on wood, we don't have any patients who are positive. So we are back to normal operations. But it was very hard, especially with staffing. As I mentioned, we had 11 patients, but we had about double the numbers in staff. And that definitely made it a struggle for here. But some of the stuff that we did is, we pulled some of our support staff. We have a lot of positions here who we have had the opportunity to promote into other positions, so they have floor experience. So we had some like our assistant in our risk department, or our assistant in our HR office, or even myself and our COO, Cole Mitchell. We had all kind of went to the floor and helped with programming. And we actually had a pretty good week. We sold it to the kids. We pulled out some extra activities we generally wouldn't do. We on one unit we had a cornhole tournament. On another unit we did a Beyblade battle. On another unit they did some Lego competition. So what we really did is we sold it to the kids. And in those few rooms that were 100% quarantined, right? So the whole unit was quarantined, but then in those rooms they were quarantined. We put TVs in their rooms. We had a staff at every door in order to ensure the safety for them. But we just kind of embraced it and tried to sell it to the kids and make the best of the situation. I'm real proud of our staff and their ability to come together and do that. That we've had a couple struggles with staffing, obviously, but we still have been safe and we've been able to meet our ratios. And so, I think the biggest thing is just communication. You got to communicate to all your staff what the plan is. And that was one of the things that myself and Cole, I believe he's on the call, but that's one of the things is going to debriefings, checking on night staff and letting them know. They don't all have email, but letting them know every step along the way what the plan is, so they feel that they're supported. Because as you mentioned, we're all dealing with this at home as well. So that's kind of a little bit here at Piney on some of the stuff that we did, but we're proud of our ability to be able to make it through. And we do feel we're starting to come out of it a little bit, but don't want to jump the gun.
Thank you so much, Justin, for sharing with us. It sounds like you guys are really persevering through it and, trying to make the best out of this situation.
Thank you.
I triggered in a Lego competition. I'm very curious about what that was. That sounds like it'd be fun.
Hey everybody, my name is Pasana Hope and I'm calling from Forest City Perimeter. I'm the Director of Quality and Risk. So I did want to talk a little bit. I heard Mr. Hoover talk about some of the same struggles that we had that occurred at the facility. Now we were in double digits with both residents and staff for a brief moment. So you can think of the staffing issues that we did have, but one of the biggest things that we took away from that experience is communication. We were on top of communicating with each other, whether it was our directors, our supervisors, just literally everybody having to be pulled in to assist over in the unit. Our residents wasn't transitioning to the school, so we literally was in the residential facility the entire time. So, just ensuring that they don't get too bored and making sure that we are staffed. And, we have about 60 plus residents in the facility. So, ensuring, that we maintain, keeping them separated, quarantined and isolated. It was a lot, but we did overcome it. All of our staff at this point has returned and pretty much still, keeping that same energy of, communicating, making sure we're working as a team. And we were successful in, ensuring that nobody was severely, sick or had to go to the ER or anything like that. So we are grateful for that as well. Ms. Raleigh, did you have anything to add?
Ms. Lockhart, I was about to say you're muted.
Hope summed it up, but we really weathered the storm, and all of my support staff and my key members, all of them had COVID except me. So, and Hope. And so we tag team among each other, and the ones that were not here, they actually worked behind the scenes. They were at home, but they worked through that storm. And I tell them all the time, tough times don't last, tough teams do. And we're certainly a tough team.
Thank you guys for sharing your struggle with us. And it looks like you guys are over the hurdle now and trying to get back to business as normal. Would anybody else like to share something related to COVID? Okay, can you, so in thinking about what you've been facing, do you guys have any needs? Like, is there something that the placement and residential licensing unit may be able to help you guys get? I've seen some different correspondences about equipment that you all may be eligible for. I saw something about COVID test possibly being out there for providers. And I think an email went out from Ebony Russ to everyone with that information in it.
Hey,
I
and
don't,
Shara,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Hope.
I think you're about to say the same thing I was about to say, but USPS, they did kind of filtrate out about the free COVID test. So if you all had not received the link from USPS, they are starting at the end of January, sending 4 free COVID tests to every resident that is approved for it. And I think everybody's approved for it because I know a few people from around the US has, they went on ahead and applied and got it. Shara, I can send it to you and you can send it out. And it's literally from USPS. They are going to send out 4 free tests to all residents in the US.
If you wouldn't mind, could you put that link in our chat
I put it in the
box?
chat just now.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Austin.
you. Thank you, Austin.
Okay, well, we will move right along. Let's talk about Collaboration Nation. At this time, I would like for you guys to share something, innovative solution that you've implemented to solve issues or problems that you may have. Doesn't have to be a big issue. It could be something small. Let's see. So if nobody says anything, then I'm just going to call on somebody. Miss Foti, BeverlyFo.
Yes, ma'am. So something that we have worked on, I'm trying to think. Well, as you were talking about COVID, it made me think about that throughout the time, pretty much that COVID has been going on for the last couple of years. We have kept all of our cottages on campus separate for school, for their meals, for their recreation. And that really has helped a lot in terms of preventing spread when there is an outbreak or when people are exposed. We have a building that we can use when we need to isolate patients that may be positive, or we can quarantine them in their own rooms. I love the idea about putting TVs in the rooms of those that are quarantined. That's a great idea. I'm going to pass that one on. But I think just doing the things that make good science sense and continuing to do that, whether there's a huge outbreak or not, has really helped us.
Okay, thank you. And during the times of these rising numbers, did you guys, some of you all go back to in-person visitations? And if so, kind of how have you shifted that now with the rise in COVID numbers?
Well, this is Beverly. I can speak to that as well. We had barely begun going back to in-person visitation, but what we were doing for the most part was allowing parents or family members to come and walk around campus or go for a visit somewhere here rather than going away from campus where there might be more people they would be around that they could be exposed to. And that worked fairly well. They were able to visit that way. They were able to see each other and exchange gifts during the holidays and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, we've shut all that down again at this point.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Clayton, do you have something that you would like to share, something positive or something that you've seen when you were out in the field?
I'd love to. Overall, when I went to these facilities, and I have to always do the comparison because I'm relatively new at this. Just the atmosphere of the facilities has changed so much, down to the paint, to the, it's light, the lighting's better. The kids seem to be in a more positive, and quite frankly, some of the homes, the residential homes that are some of the PRTF facility, they're nice. They're really nice. And I did not see that, years ago. I want to congratulate everybody on doing that. Coming into this, I was like, well, we're kind of like the facility police. Let's go, that's not it at all. We're just an extra set of eyes. Wonderful facilities.
Okay, thank you, Clayton.
I have something that I would like to share. This is Adria Riley, and I'm with Youth Home along with Beverly. She is my supervisor. One of the things that we've done recently, I know a lot of the times food is an issue for clients in residential facilities. They don't like the cafeteria style foods and all of that. One of the things that we have done is hired people that work in actual restaurants, that higher class restaurants, and they have come in and revamped the menu and the things that we're offering. We offer a soup option every day at lunch, along with whatever the other main meal is. And we've kind of stepped away from the National School Lunch program. But we still have a, dietary staff, dietitian and all of that on staff that helps come up with the menus. But it has changed tremendously, and the complaints that we have received in regards to the food from the kids have been way, way lower than what they have been in the past. And actually, they like it so much. We did have a small issue with clients gaining weight, so we had to get a little more control over that because they were eating more than what they had in the past. And I think we've done a really good job of curbing that too. But that has made a huge difference in terms of the kids complaining about being hungry or whatever, because they're actually eating the food that we're giving them.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
I do want to share, Shay, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that I really appreciate all the providers. I haven't, met all of you. I met majority of you, but not all of you yet. But of how welcoming you guys are. I know we have had a lot of staffing changes, a lot of new people come in, including myself. So I know there's frustration with it's a new person, or who's it going to be this time? But everybody has been so kind, and you guys have been wonderful to work with us and be patient. So I just wanted to give a round of applause to everybody on that. And just say I really appreciate that. That has been very helpful for, us coming in new, feeling already sort of overwhelmed with, learning things, to have providers that are willing to step up and say, you know what, we're glad to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Austin, because that was just what I was about to say. I was about to tell you guys that I appreciate your patience with almost a revolving door of staff coming in and out of your agencies, and you guys wondering who you need to report information to. So I think we're kind of settled now. I'm going to knock on, as a old school saying, I'm going to knock on wood to make sure that, that stays in place. But yes, we appreciate you guys hanging in there with us and being able to give us the information that we need. And now I want to transition into investigations and interim corrective actions. So
I want to share, it's Justin.
ahead.
I just want to share one more thing about COVID.
Go ahead.
As people were going through things, if that'd be okay.
Yes.
One of the other things as providers, I think for us all to kind of think about are what are those projects that we could do if we were quarantined, right? Often there's areas we have to close down on our campus. So as an example, we redid our whole cafeteria the week we COVID, that we had all the kids on quarantine for COVID. So we had a painting company come through and repaint it and clean all the panels and do a deep clean in there because we weren't transitioning. So as a provider, I know that we're thinking about what's our next big project if we do have to quarantine. And then one other thing, and and I will brag a little bit on my staff, a couple of them are here, but one of the things that we're real proud of is as a facility, we're at 85% vaccination rate, fully vaccinated for our staff. We're striving to get even more than that. But how one of the things we did in order to get there is we did do a vaccine lottery. And we did 3 $1,000 drawings. And if you were fully vaccinated, you got entered into that drawing. And we've already pulled that. But that was something that I'm not going to say made people change their decision, but it definitely helped them get their stuff turned into HR, right? Because we knew we had so many people who were not vaccinated. I mean, who were vaccinated but had not turned their stuff in. So just being creative to think about how do we get all that stuff in to make sure we're doing all we can, both from a plan op standpoint, as somebody had talked about, but also just ensuring that we get all that stuff turned in and encouraging people to continue to get vaccinated. But sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. I was just thinking
That's
about the
okay.
same
I'm
things.
glad you remembered to share that. That's exciting. And I'm glad that was something that you guys were able to do and, keep your staff morale up some.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I just wanted to kind of talk about time frames in reference to maltreatment investigations. I know that sometimes, you guys may want your staff to be able to come back to work, and it may put you in an imposition with that person being out. But DCFS and the state police both have between 30 to 45 days to finish an investigation. So when somebody comes out to do an investigation, I would make sure you're always getting their name and contact number. So, at about day 25, or, when you feel like you need to reach out to figure out if the decision has been made, you'll have that contact information. And also when you're putting your interim corrective action agreements in place, we have to keep those in place until we get something from state police or DCFS stating that those have been unfounded, or whatever the outcome of that investigation is. So if you guys happen to get something from them, the outcome of the investigation, please forward that to your licensing specialist and ask for permission before we are lifting interim corrective actions. And I see that Chelsea Vardell has joined our call. Good morning, Chelsea.
Good morning, Shay. Good morning, everybody.
Do you guys have?
Sorry, I was a little late this morning, but I did get on when you guys were talking, and Clayton talked about the facilities, and I definitely want to say that all of the facilities that I cover with the Perimeter Forest City, Dacus, Piney, all of you guys have been doing amazing, and I have been very impressed with how everybody has responded to the recent COVID influx. I mean, I know I haven't been able to see any facilities in almost 2-3 weeks now because of the COVID numbers, but I've kept in contact with you guys, and the contacts I do have responded very quickly to all my questions on what's your COVID numbers. That seems to be never ending, and what are you guys doing, and how are things going there? So I've just been very glad that there's been such open communication, and people have been responding to the questions and keeping in contact with us and letting us know the status of your facilities.
Thank you, Chelsea, for that. Do you guys have any questions in reference to your maltreatment investigations and interim corrective actions?
Yes, ma'am. This is Renessa at Piney Ridge Treatment Center. I was wondering if there's a way to get possibly a guideline related to, sometimes it's hard to predict if the staff member will not be allowed to work, or if they'll have to work indirect care, or if they can work with supervision. I don't know if there's a way to be able to predict, because sometimes I don't know exactly what licensing is going to say. And I know you can't always know, but.
Okay.
And then my other question is related to it used to be sometimes that licensing could call DCFS and they would email them, and then we were told, no, you have to have the letter from Central Registry. And then I think maybe it's come back a little bit. Can you let me know what would be proof that it is either unfounded or unsubstantiated? What would be acceptable?
if you receive correspondence, I would say email from an investigator saying that it has been closed and you don't get the letter and they send you the findings, you can forward that email to your specialist and we have the ability to verify if it's true or not.
Part of the issue that sometimes Piney runs into is that sometimes, or a lot of times, the DCFS worker will talk to their supervisor and they will say that that has to come from central registry.
Okay. And that may be that county office's policy, but I will check into that and provide some feedback on that to see where DCFS and state police stand on how they provide the findings.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. So now this is just kind of our open time. I've kind of given you guys a chance to ask questions about what's on our agenda, but at this time we can talk about anything that's not on the agenda that may be a burning issue for you or something that you just have questions about. I just thought about when you are reporting your COVID information to your specialist, we want to make sure that you are providing the person that you spoke with at the health department and any guidance that they provided to you. So when you're sending in your positive cases, if you can include that information, that will be helpful to the licensing specialist. Okay, if no one else has anything else, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today on this call. I think it was a great time on a Zoom call. It was beneficial. You guys got to know us a little more. You were able to network some and provide some information to us. So we will be doing this again. Does anyone else have anything that they would like to say?
There are some good links and some contact information in the chat. So I'll have Clayton and Chelsea. Of course, you guys should have their information, but put their stuff in the chat if they can as well. So if you need anything or need to reach out to us or the background check unit team, also the COVID test links, there's a couple different links that you guys can use as well. So feel free to look at that in the chat.
So I know at Piney, I really appreciate having a breakdown of more the PRTFs, having this conversation versus everybody together. I think it's really helpful to really focus in on the issues that we're having.
And then also one of my goals for this group is for you guys all to see the names and see the faces and know what facilities you guys are from. So if there may be something that somebody spoke about outside of this call, you may be able to reach out to that person at that facility. And if no one else has anything else, I want to say thank you for your time today. Go out there and continue to provide excellent care for the children at your agencies and stay safe.
So just one more thing, sorry.
Okay.
I was just noticing with the chat, because I was trying to just copy and paste some of the numbers that I think are relevant for our facility. And it won't let me. Is it possible? And I think this is probably more relevant for future calls. But for anything that is particularly noteworthy that you think that we should all have, would it be possible to have an email?
Yes.
With that information? I mean, not trying to come off as lazy, but
no, that's okay. I will gladly get that sent to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking notes, so we'll definitely get that sent, Derek.
Okay, I appreciate it. I've tried about 4 different ways and probably could have typed it by now, I suppose, but I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you all so much. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks.